Look, telling if someone actually knows their shit or is just faking is dead simple. It's all about the details. If a guy is constantly preaching big picture theories and grand narratives, he's clueless. But once he gets into the weeds, once he gets specific, that's where the rubber meets the road. If he's faking it then, he'll trip over his own feet and get slapped in the face by reality. Back in my first month, I did a deep dive on the RMB exchange rate. I told everyone, it's not hitting 8. Why? I broke down exactly why it wouldn't break that ceiling, and why the RMB stays stable, even when the Chinese economy is tanking. What's propping it up? You got to realize the RMB is a freak of nature. Out of the top 20 global currencies, it's the most unique hands down. It's even weirder than the Russian ruble. The ruble is weird because of sanctions. The RMB is weird because in the global village, everyone else is using real money. But China is basically playing with ice, just scraps of paper they scribbled on. It's a massive loophole. People ask, "Old Wang, don't other countries do this?" Sure, they do. But those countries are small fry. They don't move the needle on the global economy. China got away with it for so long because back in the day, we were small and weak too. Nobody took us seriously. Fast forward to the Clinton era, China joins the WTO. The RMB was under total lockdown, not freely convertible. But the US and the West didn't think it was a big deal. They figured, whatever, plenty of small countries don't let their currency trade freely. People say, oh, Clinton was just an idiot. No, you are the idiot. Look at his pedigree. Look at his wife's education. He wasn't stupid. You have to understand the big trend. Whether you are a person or a country, luck is the name of the game. You've got to believe in national destiny. When your luck is in, even a pig can make money. I'm living proof. I'm the lowest IQ person in my family, but I'm the one putting food on the table for everyone. Why? Pure luck. That's why I'm always punching up at home. My wife was a student scholarship after scholarship at a top-tier school. She was a total academic beast, light years ahead of everyone. She went straight through for her master's and PhD. Me, honestly, it was a scandal. I failed a class. I almost failed 3. I had 2 professors who took pity on me and bumped me up to a 60 just so I'd pass. There was this one linear algebra professor, total prick, who gave me a 58. That pissed me off. I pulled an all-nighter, studied all winter break, and took the makeup exam. I got a 99. See, I just hadn't tried. When I try, I am a genius. I finished the final in 15 minutes. The proctor was like, no way, you're cheating. You're a fuck-up. There is no way you finished a perfect paper in 15 minutes. Show me your ID, I showed him. He was baffled. How can you be this good and still fail? So, I'm always talking back to the experts. In the academic world, the Ivy Leaguers look down on the state schools. The PhDs look down on the masters. I'm just a guy with a bachelor's from a decent school, and I basically bought my way through. My wife is a legit PhD from a top German, Chinese program. By all rights, I shouldn't be running my mouth to her, right? But I do. Why? Because even with her fancy degree, she can't make money. I'm the one out here killing it while she's grinding away, as a professor, losing her hair from stress and military projects. Ask anyone, ask Jai, shannying. He might have beef with me, but he doesn't lie about the facts. He'll tell you, old Wang makes money while he sleeps. I never grind. If I'm up late, I'm at a club, not the office. Once I cracked the code on capital markets, I never had to work hard again. I did the legwork early on, studying mountain-high stacks of Hong Kong case files, but once it clicked, it was game over. Anyway, enough bragging. The point is, I'm giving you the real deal on finance. Stuff you didn't know, and it's simple. Why did Clinton let China play dirty? Why didn't they force China to sign away the RMB's soul in the WTO deal? Think about the timing, 1998, the Asian financial crisis. The free market currencies in Asia were getting absolutely slaughtered. Thailand, Korea, Indonesia, they all had open currencies. Capital sharks like George Soros smelled blood and tore them apart. South Korea almost went under. People were literally donating their gold wedding rings to save the country. So when China's leaders said, look at Korea, we don't want that happening to us, Clinton couldn't argue. The US has some standards. They weren't going to force China into a total collapse. That gave China the whole pass to keep cheating. And in DC, it's new king, new rules. Every president after Clinton just kicked the can down the road. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years pass. Suddenly, China is the world's factory. Now, the CCP can manipulate the rate however they want. The central bank is the only player on the board, and the guys running the show. They were students of Alan Greenspan, the godfather of the Fed. These guys took the Fed's playbook, brought it back to China, and cooked up a dual-track system that's never been seen before. They split the RMB in 2, onshore and offshore. The offshore stuff is in Hong Kong, but there's only one house. And that's the Bank of China. If you want to play, you're playing against them. As for the onshore stuff, that's still locked down like it's 1949. You think that $50 K annual exchange limit for citizens is a permanent, right? Please, that's a historical fluke. It's for the elites, not for you. Some people call it gaming the system, but hey, did Zuckerberg game the system? Did Gates? That's not a loophole. That's an opportunity. To capture the tone of the speaker, the translation needs to sound like a high-energy, cynical financial shogun or a seasoned street smart investor. He uses aggressive metaphors, dismisses academics as idiots, and talks about global macroeconomics like he is explaining a card game in a back room. The straight talk translation, the 4 keys to the RMB look, you don't even need to call it gaming the system. In business, you talk shop. When an opportunity hits, only the lucky ones are positioned to ride the wave. You can have a whole row of pigs standing in front of a wind tunnel, but that doesn't mean they're all gonna fly. The GPU boom was a massive wind. But why is Jensen Huang and Nvidia the only ones soaring? Where's ATI? Where's AS3? Exactly. Listen up. I told you a year ago that swapping your RMB for USD was going to get harder. And look, it's getting damn near impossible. I'm going to give you 4 rules. Grab a pen and paper. If you memorize these 4 things, you'll solve the mystery of the RMB exchange rate forever. You won't need to listen to those expert hacks or fake economists like Liu Yuhui. They don't know shit. You'll know more than them. Here are the 4 factors that dictate the RMB. Period 1, the US dollar trend. This is the number 1 factor. People saw the RMB spike recently, breaking 7.14, and they freaked out. It jumped from 7.3 to 7.14 in like 3 days. If it keeps that pace, it'll break 7.0. The little pinks nationalists are out there, celebrating like they just won the lottery. But they can't even swap for 5k USD, let alone 50k. Even if it hits 5.0, it's got nothing to do with you. The better the rate gets, the less they'll let you swap, because they got to save those dollars for the big families at the top. Anyway, when the dollar goes soft, the RMB goes hard. It acts just like the Japanese yen hedge against the dollar. This recent spike had zero to do with China's domestic economy. I hear Chinese economists saying it's because of some 300 billion stimulus or stable growth policies. Give me a break, you idiots. When the RMB was cratering, they had stimulus policies then too, and the economy still slid down the drain. The dollar is weak right now because everyone expects the Fed to cut rates. When the US cuts, the dollar drops, and the big players RMB and yen flex their muscles. 2 foreign exchange reserves. This is the war chest. As long as this doesn't run dry, the RMB will stay strong, it won't crash. A massive spike. Possible a total collapse? No way. This is a slow-moving, constant factor 3. The trade surplus. Think of the reserves like a water tank. The trade surplus is the faucet. This is like one of those messed up math problems from elementary school. You've got the drain open and the faucet running at the same time. When does the tank fill up? On one hand, dollars are leaking out of China. On the other hand, China is a manufacturing beast. Products go out, dollars come in. As long as that trade surplus stays positive, the RMB isn't going to collapse. 4. The secret sauce, the HK offshore pool. This is the most important one. I've praised the guys at the People's Bank of China PBOC for this. They basically invented a masterpiece. Nobody plays this game better than them. They created this offshore RMB pool in Hong Kong. It's another water tank, but it's filled with RMB, not dollars. Outside of China, the RMB trades freely, and you see the charts moving every day. But here's the trick. The PBOC has their hand on the only faucet. If they want the RMB to drop, they twist the handle and flood the market. If they want it to jump, they shut it off, make the RMB scarce. And overnight lending rates skyrocket to 10%. It's total manipulation, but it looks like a free market. It's like exchange certificates from the old days. It looks like money, but it's a different beast. Why did it almost hit 8.0 last year? Because some traitors in the political factions tried to embarrass the big boss. They dumped massive amounts of RMB into places like Russia, Venezuela, and Argentina to try and build an overseas market. But those guys immediately turned around and dumped that RMB in Hong Kong to buy USD. The faucet broke for a second. The PBOC had to scramble to swap out the faucet and get the water level back to normal. That's the secret. It's not like the yen or the won. It's a rigged game run through the Bank of China in Hong Kong. As long as the fuel, the blood and sweat of Chinese factory workers bringing in trade dollars keeps coming, the PBOC can fly this plane however they want. It's brilliant. Even the Fed can't pull this off. And the US just stands there like, is this a free market? I guess so. And stays quiet, the wild card Trump. The only guy who wants to blow up this system is Trump. He's the only one who says, I don't care about your rules, you're manipulating your currency, and I'm going to make you hike it. As long as it's a deep state, or establishment president Democrat or Republican, they won't touch this. The US only reacts to acute threats like Pearl Harbor. As long as Xi doesn't push a button to blow up Hawaii, the US establishment won't get its act together. They aren't going to look back at a 25-year-old mistake and start a trade war that hurts their own polling numbers. That's just human nature. Only Trump is out there saying, day one, we're talking about currency manipulation. So, there you go. The four factors are all green right now. Dollar trend, reserves, trade surplus, and the HK pool are all solid. Why would the RMB drop? If it drops, it's only because the government wants it to drop to boost exports. Global hedge funds aren't stupid. They see this. They're using the RMB as a hedge against the euro and dollar. It's becoming one of the strongest currencies in the world. So Jai Shanying, you little bird, take notes. I'm putting you on the thumbnail of this video just to give you a lesson. Now let's talk about the overseas Chinese delusion. Everyone is stressing out. What if the RMB devalues? I still have an apartment in Beijing. Or what if it goes up? My income is in USD. I'm losing money. People are freaking out because guys like Jai are screaming that a crash is coming. But then you go into a T&T supermarket in Vancouver or a 99 ranch in the States, and they're taking WeChat Pay and Alipay like it's nothing. It's wild. To capture the speaker's vibe, the English needs to sound like a high-energy, cynical financial truth teller who uses a mix of street slang, aggressive metaphors, and dark humor. He is talking like a guy holding court at a bar, explaining how the world actually works while mocking everyone else's naivety. The real talk translation, the $500 billion beast look. When you guys travel abroad, as long as you're in a Chinese grocery store, you don't even need to swap currency. You just pull out your phone, scan the QR code for a mobile payment, and boom, it's just like back home. You tell them, I am paying with WeChat, and they don't blink. It hits the real-time exchange rate, and they even toss you a digital red envelope or some cashback as a bonus. Alipay does these year-end promos where you spend $100 and get 5 back. Does that sound like a currency that is crashing and burning? Does that look like a regime running out of cash? Let me run the numbers for you so you actually have a clue what's going on. Otherwise, you're just guessing. Whether it's 99 Ranch, T&T Supermarket in Canada, some fancy Chinese grocery in Europe, or even some tiny hole in the wall in Argentina, or Venezuela used by line jumpers, migrants. If they take Alipay or WeChat, they are using offshore RMB. It's all legit. It's all convertible. You don't have to worry about it. You're all stressed out that the CCP is running out of dollars, right? That they can't prop up the system. Well, check this out. In the West, the king of online shopping is Amazon. Everyone knows Amazon. I spend a few $100 there every month. Their logistics are insane, same day or next day delivery across the US and Canada, just like Taobao or JD. Now, do you know what Amazon's annual sales are? Not profit, just the total amount of money flowing through the register. It's roughly $500 billion. Give or take a few billion, but 500 is the ballpark. Now remember that factor number 3 I mentioned earlier, the trade surplus. That's the amount of cash China has left over after buying all their imports and selling their exports to the rest of the world. At the end of the year, when they settle the books, how much is left? $500 billion. It's the same damn number. Do you see why the CCP is so cocky now? Even if the entirety of Amazon switched to Alipay tomorrow, the CCP could bankroll it. It's terrifying, right? This is why I tell you, don't sleep on the CCP. Don't think for a second you can take down China with some keyboard activism and a big mouth. They are a superpower for a reason. They could swallow the total transaction volume of every 99 Ranch and T&T supermarket in the world without breaking a sweat. All the groceries you buy, the steak, the peppercorns, the soy sauce, the gutter oil junk food, that is peanuts. Even if you take every Chinese person in the US and Canada, maybe 10 million people, and they spent every waking hour buying soy sauce, they wouldn't hit $5 billion. That's 1% of the surplus. For a regime that's pocketing a $500 billion profit every year, propping up your grocery shopping is zero pressure. In fact, it's a brilliant trap. Every time you scan that QR code under the stars and stripes or the maple leaf, your patriotic heart does a little flutter, doesn't it? Oh, look how powerful my motherland is. The CCP spends a few billion a year on this, and it's the best money they ever spent. It buys hearts and minds. It snaps your spine. You want freedom and democracy. Look at where the actual muscle is. That's the cold, hard financial truth. You can't win an arm wrestling match against a giant. They have the cash, and the cash comes from trade. The world can't quit. Made in China. Even in the Russia-Ukraine war, both sides are flying Chinese drones. It's scary. That's why I say only Trump could maybe change things. I don't see any other US president doing it. Haley, Pence. They're all establishment. Pompeo might have the balls, but the rest, no way. This is an economic war, a currency war. You have to cut off their oxygen to stop them. As long as no one starts that war, the CCP's wings just keep getting stronger. Honestly, your only hope is that the big boss, Xi, keeps screwing up his own projects and throwing money away. In a weird way, he's actually on our side. He's the guardian of the free world, because he keeps shooting himself in the foot. Take Singapore. The Lee family should build a massive monument to Xi in the middle of Lion Square that says, "Our great savior." Without him smashing Hong Kong to pieces, Singapore would be nothing. It would be a ghost town. But now, their exchange rate is through the roof, and a meal in Singapore costs more than in New York. Why? Because the big boss sent all the rich people and all the capital from Hong Kong straight into Singapore's lap. He's not just a guardian, he's their patron saint. I hear Malaysia started banning WeChat Pay in August. Well, Malaysia is finally waking up. If you let WeChat Pay run wild there, you might as well fly the CCP flag. They could take over Malaysia in an afternoon. Anyway, look at Japan. Their stock market took a hit because of the US, but the yen is surging back to 140. Everything I told you is playing out. All right, that's all for today. Stay safe out there.